Dan with the chart, guys. We're going to check in on Bitcoin knocking on the door of all-time highs. I'm going to talk about how we can set two different mind frames when we are analyzing individual altcoin charts based on the context of what we know with Bitcoin. We got a little bit of broader market weakness as I speak. We'll look in on that with the NASDAQ and crypto stocks. We know coin has been leading the way ever since the S&P 500 inclusion news. Is it time for miners like MARA and Riot to act as laggards? Let's get to the charts. So, Bitcoin on the daily chart. The mindset I have for Bitcoin is guided by daily EMA 12. Why? Because daily EMA 12 has been support at this point for over a month. And we can see every period of consolidation that we get. We held it, held it, held it, held it, held it. So if you want to keep it simple, the bulls have complete control if daily EMA 12 is support. There are only two things that are about to happen right now. We're either going to get an all-time high break or we're going to lose this daily support zone and enter weekly consolidation. That's it. One of those two things are going to happen. So that's the context with how we view all of our charts. If Bitcoin breaks bull, then this altcoin is going to have this setup and likely do this. If Bitcoin breaks bear, the altcoin is likely going to do this. And I'll give some examples of that in just a moment. But for now, you can see the support zone, and it's very similar. Bitcoin bulls are liking the fact that the consolidation that we've been seeing on this run up the last couple of months is just sideways. So here was a sideways base where we held 83 support, 83,000. We then had this sideways base where we held 93,000. Ooh, I wish we were holding 103,000. It's more like 101 to 102. But again, it's just sideways is great. Sideways allows RSI to cool off. It allows EMAs and moving average supports to catch up. So that's a good thing. And it's all about the only resistance that we have, 107.1 thousand, and we just had the highest Bitcoin daily candle close ever on Sunday. And after 107, it's 109.4, we'll call it, the all-time high. This is the only resistance there is. And so right now, short term, you could be watching a 4-hour equilibrium on Bitcoin because it's a beauty. High, low, lower high, higher low. If we top out here, we can keep tightening up into tomorrow before we look for a break. So that's a nice, beautiful equilibrium. And we've got to see which breaks first, 107 to 109 or 101 and 102. The bulls are liking the fact that we are knocking on the door of resistance. So we're closer to resistance than support. And I would say the burden is on bears to prove to us that they can defend resistance. If we break 109, you want follow through. And I would say follow through would be, 112,000 plus. You don't want to break, 109, hit 110 and then start consolidation. But nice bull momentum. The one thing that bulls need to be aware of is the fact that, again, the NASDAQ is still just fine for the bulls. The bears have not done anything in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 during regular trading hours for a month. This is the most bearish day. During regular trading hours where we were within we closed down $1 and it was a daily inside bar. That's the most bearish day in a month. That's insane. So the bulls are still keeping full control. I'm watching the NASDAQ futures for this potential megaphone. You can see uptrending, lacking follow through. The bear breaks are lacking follow through. We're in the middle of that range. Just need to be aware of it, as we know, especially during regular trading hours. QQQ just dropped to a new low of the day over the last 15 minutes, and it does impact Bitcoin. Not much, but Bitcoin pulled back with it. So just something to keep an eye on, but bulls are loving what the broader market has done over the last month and the fact that the bulls are still keeping complete control there. The dominance chart. I'll get to the chat in just a moment. Thanks for the likes and shares. The dominance chart had a nice drop. Alt had a nice move up, led by ETH, as we know, What don't we have? Trend changes. We never confirmed a daily downtrend. We had a nice drop, no daily downtrend. So what does that mean? Well, look at back here. Same exact thing. Daily stair-step drop, no clear downtrend confirmed. That marked a longer-term higher low. So is this just a longer-term higher low? Healthy weekly higher low before dominance sees continuation? That's definitely on the table. If you can't confirm a trend, I know it's not, we're not seeing supply and demand in terms of price action on this chart, but if you can't confirm the trend, you're not going to follow through. And so this is a V-shaped recovery attempt. And one of the ways that Bitcoin dominance would hit new highs here is, of course, if Bitcoin gets a blue sky breakout, new all-time highs, and leads the way up. So what does that mean? I'm doing the same thing on this dominance chart that I've been doing for many months. If we do not break the weekly higher lows, nothing changes. And here we are setting a new weekly higher low so we can move up to a new benchmark level. This is now the one that we care most about, and we can keep that same simple statement. If the weekly higher lows remain intact, nothing changes on this dominance chart, and it will still be the Bitcoin show. If you want altcoins to have a run and to follow through, you've got to lose the weekly uptrend and confirm trends. And you go back and look at weakness and prior big bull runs in the altcoin space, and you do get, and this was just a little bear flag, but technically it is a downtrend confirming, weak bounce, lower high, lower low. And there's your go time for alts. You've got to lose the higher lows. Crypto stocks, there's been a shift. I've been focusing mostly on MSTR and recently Coin with the headline. And there was a shift where you look at Coin divided by MSTR and it shows us clear shift, not today, but a clear shift where the focus went from MSTR lead bull in the crypto stock space to Coin. And so Coin hitting a new high today. Nope, not today. Hitting a new high a couple days ago. Just sideways the last 2 days. Very tight. Volatility's coming tomorrow on Coin when these inside bars break. MSTR still just fine. Daily EMA 12. Trying to keep this consolidation healthy. The question that I have, that I am watching for, is do we see the miners that have gotten no love? And generally when altcoins are running, the miners are performing. That's something that I've noticed in the past with that relationship. We're tightening up here. It's a potential daily bull flag on MARA. So it's definitely worth watching. Can we get another leg up here as we start to see some rotation into these names? Which miner to be focusing on? I look at MARA divided by Riot. I could say, okay, we're tightening up, not a ton changing, but I want to know, how does this range break? Which name should I be focusing on? MARA divided by CLSK. Again, same thing, sideways. Which direction? This means we're doing the same thing. If you're comparing two individual names and the chart is sideways, they're doing mostly the same thing. And when this range breaks, this is an MARA CLSK chart. If this breaks bull, it means look long MARA over CLSK. And if it breaks bear, it means the opposite. So that's one way that, I personally, because I'm watching so many things in the market, I'm not going to be, focusing on all crypto stocks. I want to know, am I focusing on MSTR or Coin? And if I want to focus on something else, which miner am I going to focus on? And so it's MARA, Riot, and CLSK are the main ones. There's others, Hive and Wolf and things like that, but I stick with the bigger names with more volume. And I'm watching. What do we want to see? We want to see a volume spike. Look at the volume. The last most bullish day that we had double the average volume. Look at today. Is anything happening? No, we have very low volume. So just like Coin is sideways the last couple of days, we know that Coin and these miners, MARA, CLSK, etc., they're going to see volatility within the next couple of days as Bitcoin gets an all-time high or rejects convincingly and heads back to 101,000 support. So I know that tomorrow I'm paying extra attention to these tight sideways ranges that are going to break before the weekend, as it's only Tuesday. ETH, is it over? Is that it? What do we got to see? ETH BTC. We know the most likely result of this bounce is just a weekly lower high because of the amount of space that we have to form it. What we have to see, again, just like everything I said with the dominance chart, we've got to see dominance confirm a trend shift. You got to see ETH BTC confirm the first weekly uptrend that we've had in over a year. We haven't officially topped out yet. It's just a little weekly inside bar. But when we top, you got to follow through. So ETH itself, no major red flags. It is holding daily EMA 12. It has been weakening a little bit compared to Bitcoin. But again, because of the size of the bull move that we just saw, this retracement size is not significant enough yet to say, uh-oh, that was it. It's still a possible bull flag. You can condense it down 2-day time frame. We look at the big move up. How much have we retraced? Okay, about 40%. That means a bull flag is still in play. If we drop and break 50% retracement, we know that we then scout an equilibrium as the most likely scenario. But it is still a possible bull flag at this point. And again, best case scenario, I mean, if you're an alt bull, what you would love to see is Bitcoin hit an all-time high, give a big wave of confidence, have crypto stocks breaking out, have the dominance chart fail new highs, and then roll over. And then that means altcoins see a big wave of catch-up, big bull moves to catch up to that Bitcoin euphoria. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. But if that were to shape up, again, you ask me what's the ideal scenario in terms of confidence for the crypto space, that's how it would take shape. Bitcoin, 112,000 plus, dominance chart heads up but doesn't get a new high, rolls over when altcoins see a big leg up. So I lay out what would the ideal scenario be if I'm going to focus more aggressively long altcoins. That would be it. We'll see if we get it. Again, it's not the most likely scenario for me, but we'll see. We can see Bitcoin is still weakening in the short term here with the NASDAQ. A little 5-minute downtrend confirmed. Again, it's just doing the same thing as QQQ to a certain degree, as is the case the vast majority of the time when the stock market is open during regular trading hours. But we're just going to look for an hourly higher low on Bitcoin. I mean, really, it's just that equilibrium. That's all I care about. You can go to the 2-hour or 4-hour, however you like it. But we're just watching this tightening range that's going to break into tomorrow. Altcoins. Okay, so we got a context with Bitcoin, right? There's a fork in the road. We're going all-time highs, or we're going back down to break 101,000 to reject from all-time highs into weekly consolidation. Only one of those two things are going to happen. I guess you could do both. Break with no follow-through, drop and break support. But for simplicity's sake, that's the path forward, one of those two things. So when I'm looking at an altcoin chart, I want to imagine those two scenarios. So I look at XRP. I say, all right, XRP, weekly consolidation, just barely getting underway. Daily chart, close to confirming a daily downtrend. Technically, we did. No follow-through, a little daily bear flag. Okay. So I zoom in and say, all right, bear break, no follow-through at the moment. If Bitcoin breaks bull, then XRP is likely a 4-hour falling wedge. I drew this yesterday. We rejected one more time from resistance. That tells me, yep, pay attention to this. Whenever I draw a rising wedge or a falling wedge, I want to see that one more rejection from a line that I've drawn to validate to me that I'm on the right track. So if Bitcoin breaks bull, this falling wedge for XRP likely breaks bull as well. And we head back up towards 250s, 260s. If Bitcoin breaks bear, then we likely fall through this. And then at that point, we got to be cautious of a monthly low or high. If Bitcoin breaks bear and XRP is trading down in the 220s, this monthly candle that has 10 days left, 11 days, how many days in April? 31. 11 days left. If we close in the 220s or 230, of this monthly candle, we're not that far away from the low of this month, 207, to potentially set a monthly lower high. And again, there are a bunch of altcoins that do need to be cautious of monthly lower highs shaping up. If Bitcoin breaks resistance, we don't have to worry nearly as much about monthly lower highs in altcoins. If Bitcoin fails the all-time high, breaks support, monthly lower highs are on the table for a bunch of names. Let's just roll through a few of them real quick. ADA, tons of space for a monthly lower high. Anything under 117. Link, tons of space for a monthly lower high. Anything under 30.95. We can go 50% from here on Link and set a monthly lower high. Sol, lots of space for a monthly lower high. So alt bulls on monthly charts are not really comfortable speaking about the majority of here. They need Bitcoin to break bull. Because if it doesn't, monthly lower highs are on the table. So again, as you're analyzing a chart, have those two scenarios laid out. If Bitcoin breaks bull, this chart's likely going to look like this. If it breaks bear, it's likely going to look like something different. And then we watch Bitcoin for the clues. But again, that just helps us from getting, we never want to get blindsided or surprised, which is why I talk about put on your bull glasses, put on your bear glasses to make sure you're getting both sides of things. And so that is one way to do that. Another altcoin I'm watching is Trump, just because I like long-term tightening equilibriums, and it's got a 2-day time frame that's tightening up here. This tells me that Trump coin is going to see volatility end of May or into June. Maybe it aligns with the dinner, whatever's going to happen there. We got our low, high, higher low, lower high. Bulls are trying for a higher low with a base of support just above 12. It's not officially set yet. If we get a move up into the upper 13s, the higher low will be set, but it's not there yet. So watch Trump, this tightening range, and how it's going to break. Let's zoom out. If it breaks bull, monthly bounce underway. And that would be significant. You can see we're just going sideways for the last 3.5 weeks right now. We know volatility is coming. Even if it breaks bull, we know we're looking for a monthly lower high eventually. But again, if you're looking for short-term trading volatility, that is definitely a name to be focusing on, or at least keeping an eye on. All right, reading the chat room. Nothing wrong with taking some Bitcoin profits right under resistance if it's a shorter term time frame position. One thing that I've done in the past many times is what I call taking insurance, where, if I sell Bitcoin 106.4 or a partial position, I'll rebuy it if we break 107. And then, I essentially I sell some. If we reject, great. I had a great sell. If the bulls prove it and we keep going, then I can rebuy a little bit higher. Haven't done that in a while with Bitcoin, but back in the 2017 days, I definitely did that a handful of times. Appreciate the appreciation and the likes. Potential triple top. So yeah, Bitcoin, could reject here. Absolutely. It's the only resistance level. Honestly, you know how much I talk about the impact of the broader market and sentiment on crypto. And in my opinion, whether or not we break out or reject is going to have a lot to do with what the NASDAQ does in the short term. And again, don't forget that if we do reject, it's not game over for the bulls. We just went straight up on a weekly stair-step move. 45%. You need to be cautious, right? Last thing we want to see is a triple top, and then that's it. I mean, similar to 2021. But how would we approach it? Let's say we fail all-time high, break 101,000. A cup and handle will then be on the table as a possibility. If it's going to be a cup and handle, we got to hold 382 retracement. So the weekly consolidation red flag for me would come with a break of 94,000. You know, if we start heading back down to 90,000, that's us saying, okay, that's too much follow through from a resistance rejection. If you reject from resistance, but still trade around, 100,000, 98,000, that's just fine. If you can form a weekly bull flag, we will be talking cup and handle. But again, that's looking one step forward if we reject. First, we got to see, do we reject or not? And we're going to get that information within the next handful of days. Deep USDT, trying to set the weekly high or low. Again, just an equilibrium. My brain instantly just sees the tightening range, just like this. So if you want to condense it down, smooth it out a little bit, 2-day time frame. High, low, which held 15.5 support, lower high, and bulls are trying for a higher low. 15.5 needs to hold. If 15.5 holds, we're going to keep tightening up. And then we'll look for a break next week. But the burden's on bulls in the short term here to prove that that support can hold by following through a bit 1920. Phil, will we see 230 again? 230? Oh my God, it was 230? I thought you missed a decimal point. No. Nope, we won't. If I needed to be sure of that answer, I need to look at the tokenomics. I need to see what was the number of outstanding tokens in 2021 versus now. If I had to put money on that answer, I mean, I'm 95% sure it's no, but if I want to be 99% sure, I do need that information. But if you need to go, I mean, that's 100x. We need 100x. No. Unless you're an altcoin that comes up with something that penetrates the barrier of daily usage. Again, I thought this would happen 5 years ago with something entering the mainstream of crypto usage. It just hasn't. Look at AI. Look at how fast AI penetrated daily use for users. Just exponential. And you don't have crypto having anything similar to that. If you get something that does that, then yeah, you can go exponential. But if you got to recover 90x or whatever it is, I mean, we're not even talking 1,000% gain. You go 1,000%, and we're going to be trading here. And it's not even close. And there's a lot of altcoins where that is the case. Most altcoins, that's the answer. Nope, we're not going back to that level. What is it going to look like? What will the chart look like over the long term for many altcoins? Just go to cannabis, penny stocks. Look at MJNA, first stock I ever traded. We'll go 6-month time frame just to condense it down, or a 3-month time frame, condense it down. And look at yes, there's pumps in there, and they are multiple 100% pumps, but it just slow bleeds because of dilution. And if a coin is creating more and more coins and there's dilution involved, the gravity of the altcoin will just be the fade to zero unless there is substantial reason for fundamental adoption. And the vast majority of these altcoins, no hope. Now, everything that I just said, I don't know a thing about what FIL does, but 100x, 90x is a very tall order to fill in terms of a recovery. Yeah, likes give me dopamine drips. Hood, I don't really love Hood. I mean, I guess, why don't I love it? My reasoning has always been, why am I looking at Hood over something else? Granted, it's made a great move off the lows. No doubt about that. That's a cup and handle. That's a daily cup and handle. Again, you fail resistance and you try the bull flag. All right. Lack of resistance. Okay, I take it back. I see why Hood has a lack of resistance. It's a cup and handle. While it won't be blue sky if it breaks bull, because of back here, there's very little price action in the $60, $70, $80 range. So I take back my negative initial Hood word or two. Anything that has a proximity to multiple year highs or all-time highs or an area with no resistance or slim resistance, definitely towards the top of the list. And again, if big money is looking at crypto, they're going to choose an altcoin that has limited price history. Do I want to try and pump a coin that has only bag holders for years and 95% drop? Or do I want to pump a coin that's only been around for 6 months, 8 months, whatever, has blue sky nearby, and I know that once we hit that blue sky, we can just rocket it higher. You know, if spending $1 million to push a coin in blue sky breakout higher is going to get you so much further than spending $1 million on something like FIL that has a generation of bag holders. Because you have to figure okay, we get up to $10. Now everybody that's been down 40% gets out at break even. Oh, my second chance. I can't believe I held for a 50% loss. I'm so lucky to get a second chance. Then you go to $15 and you got a whole wave of 15 bag holders. 25, a whole wave of bag holders. You don't want charts where there are waves of bag holders selling into a bull move, stifling it. Garden grows good, thanks. I got work to do. I was just away for 5 days and things are growing fast. Got flowers to plant, squash, peppers. What's the most likely scenario? The NASDAQ bulls are proving something during today's trading for the first time in a long time. Honestly, I would reserve my answer to see how Bitcoin breaks this 4-hour equilibrium. Although I'm probably going to like it on the 2-hour now that we're tightening up. 2-hour equilibrium, the direction this breaks is going to have significant implications for the rest of the week. Honestly, as someone who would be fine with adding positions, I trimmed some MSTY. If I'm looking to add crypto positions, I want to reject from resistance and give me a Bitcoin weekly bull flag. That would be my ideal scenario. If I want more position, if I got cash, I want a rejection, bears pile in at resistance, you weekly bull flag, the money that's been on the sideline buys for the bull flag to set a higher low, you stop out all the bears, you get a new all-time high. That's my ideal scenario because I would take more position if I have confidence it's a weekly bull flag shaping up. CEP. Yep, I've been trading CEP. It's a nice equilibrium that broke bull. Again, breakout, low, lower high, double bottom. We held support here by 27 cents. Bull break took place at 38.55 today. Real nice follow through. That said, now what's the most likely scenario? Zoom out to the weekly. I now scout a weekly lower high compared to 59.75 unless Bitcoin gets the blue sky run going, then anything's on the table. But in the absence of that, we then scout a weekly tightening range. After you see significant volatility in both directions, you scout equilibriums one time frame at a time. It tightens up here, it breaks on the shorter term time frame, you zoom out and you look for it on a longer term time frame. I would also have to do research on CEP and see when does the ticker change take place, what kind of unlock takes place with that ticker change. Are we about to see a bunch of supply open up on the market? Again, same thing of tokenomics. I need to know the share structure and how that's going to play out. I don't know that offhand. I don't hate Hood. Any more info how to use the chart guy site? So when you're in our chat room on the free trial, you can't talk. It's observer only, because the last thing we want is 300 people coming into a chat room and throwing off our flow. We got a very regimented flow in how we do things. Members obviously can talk and ask questions and all that. So we've got 4 different videos talking about how to utilize the website. And I'm doing another one on Thursday, another live stream, because we have our spring sale on right now. Nice segue. But spring sale for annual membership. But Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube here, I'll do a live stream where I'll answer all your questions and I'll go through the website and how to use it. But again, you know, we've got... Oh, I don't have the sale up because I'm logged in and already signed up. But go to chartguys.com if you want to check out what that sale entails. But again, I'll answer Thursday any of those questions. If you don't want to wait till Thursday, you Google Chart Guys YouTube membership. And again, we've got a bunch. Chart Guys membership unboxing. There's multiple ones. You choose the most recent one, 2024. Here's one from 6 days ago. But I'll answer that more Thursday. What's going on with WIF? I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a long time. So close to confirming a daily downtrend. Base of support is 92. If 92 breaks, weekly consolidation is underway. 91. 91 breaks. Weekly consolidation underway. We then have a lot of space for a weekly high or low. Same thing as what we were talking about with ETH BTC. You've got to confirm a weekly uptrend if a long-term bottom is going to be set. So it's a great move off the low to give the bulls the space to form a weekly high or low, but you've got to confirm that trend change for that long-term bottom to be set. And where are we finding resistance? Previous support. So look at this zone. This was the support from its launch. There was the low on Binance. We held it with a double bottom, and that is where we are struggling. Previous support is acting as resistance. QQQ getting uglier. Bitcoin holding up a little bit better now, but again, this is the broader market proving something. Broader market bears proving something for the first time in a while. Let's check back in on my megaphone. Still a ways to go. We need another 1% plus. From the low of today, another 0.9% to get down to the Moody's low. And the Moody's low is the Moody downgrading the U.S., which was the news Friday after hours. So a whole lot of people betting on the post-halving performance. There will come a time where the pattern breaks without a doubt. It's going to catch a ton of people off guard when it happens. It's just a question of when. It's the way markets go. There's a pattern, When enough people recognize a pattern, the pattern stops. You got it, KPC. Talked about cannabis stocks on Twitter yesterday. I'm definitely keeping an eye out for things to slow down in the summer. But not with Bitcoin knocking on the all-time. So let's look at quick comparison here. So how do we identify relative strength or weakness? Clearly, Bitcoin has relative strength the last 10, 15 minutes. Look at QQQ on the left and look at Bitcoin on the right. There's a number of ways that we can measure it. Okay, the low of the morning. QQQ was here. We just dropped significantly lower, relatively speaking. Here was Bitcoin's low of the morning. We're nowhere near it. Okay, that's one sign of relative strength. What's another? Well, big 5-minute bounce underway. We just broke a high of the last 15 minutes. If QQQ was breaking the high of the last 15 minutes, we'd be trading up here. And you can also obviously do Bitcoin divided by QQQ and show us. I'm logged into the wrong TradingView account to show that, but that's another way to show the comparison. So that's good, at least in the short term. OM. Oof. Remember, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I haven't looked at that in a while. Brutal. Absolute brutal. Like short bust, so fill 10 times increase in the supply, that makes a lot of sense. So what does that mean? That means it's 10 times harder to see price action move up. There's 10 times the supply. Think of it in simple terms. You know, if I'm trading rare emeralds in a country and there's 1,000 of them, and then over time they get imported and now there's 10 times as many, the value of my emerald is going to go down significantly. I mean, simple supply and demand. You can't just create coins out of thin air and expect the price to go up. By definition, coins being created and added to supply is a down. Just imagine gravity. It's going to, the norm, the homeostasis of being will be a long, forever downtrend if supply remains uncapped. I mean, that's why people love Bitcoin, right? It's capped. That's the reason it's the thing that it is. And so when you're an altcoin and you don't have that, it's a huge red flag. Agree, Ryan. Nah, see. All right, well, let's look at Tau first, then I'll answer that. That's the, I mean, look at 500. Reject, 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 reject. 500 is the level. Weekly consolidation's underway. Some alts have started weekly consolidation, some have not. And what the bulls have to hope for here is a weekly inverse head and shoulders. I recently have been talking about how there's a similarity between crypto altcoins bottoming back in start of April and some psychedelic and cannabis stocks bottoming on the same day. And that's because we shifted more into a risk-on environment once our fear bottom was hit. So look at this chart and look at ATAI, little dinky psychedelic stock. Look at the weekly here. It was the same setup. Lower high, lower low, weekly lower high. This is an inverse head and shoulders that confirmed. So bulls are, and again, that's April 7th bottom. There's your April 7th bottom. Topped out mid-February. The timeline's a little different. The bottom happened at the same time, But if you are a Tau bull, you're looking at this. MNMD is another psychedelic name that just confirmed its daily inverse head and shoulders. You want to see this happen on your altcoin chart. And so we've got to set a weekly high or low, ideally seeing less than 50% retracement, ideally 382 or less percent retracement. And then you got to confirm that weekly uptrend to confirm the inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern. But just a glimpse into the future of the ATAI weekly chart, you want that same thing to happen on your chart. Weekly high or low and go. Increasing bull volume, break resistance, etc. So my list of alts is not where adoption is happening. Just chart launch coin. Okay, that's valid. That's a valid point. But no. It's not happening there. I mean, maybe not at this point. How do I know the answer to that? Because 99.9%, 99.999% of the population has no idea what launch coin is. And that's all you need to know. There's no adoption if you've got a fraction of market participants aware of something and nobody else is, because it doesn't do anything in their lives. When I say adoption, I mean the people that aren't watching crypto altcoins every day know what something is. We saw it happen with Bitcoin, right? We saw Bitcoin adoption. I'd say 2017 was the pivotal year for when that took place. And then people were talking about it and knew what it was. And so could it be one of those things that turns into it? Yes, but no, that is not adoption happening. And the vast majority, what's the probability that one of those things will break through? So minusculely low that your probability of choosing the one is, I mean, it's a lottery. I'm not saying it's not worthwhile to, be able to put in due diligence and look at fundamentals and look to where the puck's going to be, skate to where the puck's going to be. There can be validity to that, absolutely. But no, it's not adoption. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you have a year ago, I'm making up the timeline, a year ago, nobody using AI for search into tens of millions in a very short window. That's adoption. That's world changing. Not a new little dinky dinker that only the degenerates even know exists. United Health was a great capitulation bottom. Definitely a bunch of us playing that bounce. Maybe I hold on to a small piece for years. We'll see. So we're bouncing a bit here. Let's just check back real quick. Again, Bitcoin with the relative strength, comparative. So Bitcoin led the bounce there. Bitcoin started bouncing. And the NASDAQ is now bouncing as well. Still a 5-minute downtrend as our guide. Why is Coinbase dumping? Correlation. If the NASDAQ dumps and Bitcoin drops with it, Coin, MSTR, they're going to drop as well. So again, there's Coin on the 5-minute. Why are we dumping? Well, what did QQQ just do on the 5-minute? This started at 2:10 p.m. Eastern. Here's 2:10 p.m. Eastern on the NASDAQ. That's why I'm constantly talking about correlations and relative strength and relative weakness, because we live in a market world where everything is interconnected by automated trading systems. And so correlations are glaring. If it weren't for automated trading, you'd have to see people manually selling Coinbase because the NASDAQ is dropping. It's instantaneous. Tick for tick. This little dinky bounce at 230. Dinky bounce at 230. Same little 5-minute candles. Bear flag, bear flag. Again, same thing. I could say, okay, there's a little bit of relative weakness on coin here. This is a much weaker 5-minute bounce than what the NASDAQ is doing. All right, one more. Let's do, we'll do 2 more. Pepe and Sui. Pepe. Daily lower high, all about that low. If it breaks, we confirm the daily downtrend. We zoom out into weekly consolidation. If that support holds, we fend off weekly consolidation. So that's what we're looking at here in the short term. Do we start weekly consolidation or not? And all we care about is this range, 1425 and 1196. If Bitcoin breaks bull, we're going to head back up and test this resistance. If Bitcoin rejects and breaks bear, we are likely to break 1196 into weekly consolidation. SUIUSDT. Same deal. Bears did confirm a daily downtrend with 0 follow through. So technically weekly consolidation is underway. This is again one of those names where we got to be cautious of a potential monthly lower high. There's no glaring red flags at this point. But if Bitcoin were to weaken, then we have to start worrying about monthly lower highs. So this was a rising wedge that confirmed with no follow through. We're now back testing. Again, same thing with, Bitcoin breaks bull. This is going to be a confirmed daily downtrend with 0 follow through, trying to shape up a very quick weekly higher low. If Bitcoin breaks bear, we're very likely to head back down and get some follow through on weekly consolidation. So we're waiting on Bitcoin for the information here in the short term. How the rest of the week is going to go is going to be dictated by how Bitcoin breaks this 2-hour equilibrium and whether we get that all-time high. But bulls are pleased with the size of the current bounce. All right. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, I would love to be proven wrong about adoption with altcoins, but it is so far from the dream of 2017 and before. I just keep using 2017 because that's when I came into awareness around crypto. But it is so far from what bulls would have hoped for in the altcoin space. You just got to call it like it is. And hopefully that changes someday, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take to change it. Something. Needs some kind of major catalyst, some kind of major shift, breakthrough. I don't know what. But 99.9% of altcoins will trend to 0. There'll be a lot of opportunity on the ones that don't, but they need a real world usage that has significant adoption. Do good things. Appreciate you watching. We'll check back in. The next time I see you, we'll know if Bitcoin got the bull path or the bear path.